Alrighty, how we doing today? So, today we're going to be talking about some of our next projects. I looked at your thumbnails, the ones that turned it in. You did a wonderful job on your turn in. So, next one. Okay, so we finished all of our part here. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so we finished our square with the 12 lines. Right, sorry. Our 12-inch square. And we did the 9 lines, and then you guys added the 3. So if you have not done that, get onto this project. Now, somebody was saying, like, how is everything going to be graded? You submit it. So watch the video on how to submit, all right, your image, and then I will grade it. And then from there, the way I'm kind of grading, I could put a timeline on here that must be due by this time, but what I'm trying to do is give you guys a little bit of leniency right now. So later on, I might be like, I'd like this done now, or I want you to do it a lot faster. So this next part is going to be kind of new. So I'm going to take this part 3 project, because you kind of did these two together in the last project. So here I'm going to take this one. So your part 3, okay, so we're going to do 9 curved lines in a full sheet, okay, 18 by 24, okay. And so I want you to think about your curves, and we'll talk about those, okay, in just a second, for what I'm looking for a curved symmetrical line, okay. The other thing here, okay, is we're going to do our square within a square, okay. So we're going to put, make sure you have one square that is at least 12 by 12, okay. Then I want you to take the second square, and you can turn either or. You can turn that into a 12 by 12, but it has to be 12 inches by 12 inches, okay. The dimensions, okay, I would like it at least have a 3-dimensional feel, at least one of the squares, okay, because you're going to do 2 or 3. You can choose 2 or 3 squares, okay, and you can have it as a dimensional feel, so it could be floating in space. So I'm going to be showing you some examples from prior students of that, but you get to also add curved lines to this, okay. It can have texture and weight, okay, so thickness of line weight, all right. Still, I'd like this to be in black, okay. So we'll work on this next one all by itself for the next portion. So right now I'm looking at this portion, okay. So what we're looking for here, okay, is you're going to be wanting to make a curved line, okay. So when I think about my curves, and I'm going to be making a curved line, there's a couple tricks that I like to do, all right. The first trick is, how do I make a circle without taking an object that's already a circle? Well, you can do 2 things. You can get, so let me back this out so you guys can see it. Okay, so I have here a wonderful ruler that has a lot of dots on it that helps me, keep my line straight, so it's at every inch mark, okay. But it also, so if I wanted to make a 3-inch circle, so I'd put a compass right here, or a pin, push pin, or something to keep it from moving on me, okay. And then I would rotate this around however big I needed it to be. So if it needed to be 3 inches, so I do 1 inch and then a half. So then that would give me, when you add this together, when it makes the whole circle, 3 inches. But if you don't have a ruler like this, don't worry. So normally we keep these in the shop so you guys get to use them. So here we go. So I'm going to take my ruler, I took a piece of paper and I folded it long ways, okay? So 4 ways, I took a scrap, okay? And then here is the trick. So you take your pencil, your pen, okay, and you make a mark. This is gonna be my start mark. Okay, right here. Okay. Then I put my ruler right against it. Usually I put my one ruler, okay, so I know that it's right about in the middle, okay. And so if I wanted to make a 6-inch circle, so right now if I went up, I'd have a 2-inch. If I go here, okay, so from here I got 2, okay, that would be 4, 6, okay, 3 solid inches. So, all right. So this is when it goes in a circle and around, it's going to give me 2 inches. When it goes all the way around, it's going to give me 4 inches. And this one's going to give me 6 inches. All right. But it's actually in depth, it's only 3 inches long. So I'm going to punch a hole right here, and I'm going to punch a hole right there. Okay. Okay, so time to punch the hole. So I'm gonna just you can take a push pin, and then I always put something kind of soft underneath it, so like a paper towel kind of helps. Don't put your finger on it. Don't punch so you just put the push pin right so. You can use the back of the drawing pad, that brown paper works really well too. So I got a simple little hole right there, okay? When I put my nail, you can kind of see this part going through. Next, I'm gonna do the same thing here. So this is guaranteeing you how to make a cheap compass, and you can make it, this is 11 inches long, okay? So I can easily make a 20-inch circle. That's larger than a basketball, okay? So it's a fairly large size that you can make out of one single sheet of paper, okay? So, show you how this all works. So I'm going to take this now, put this right smack on my paper. I'm going to take my pen or pencil. I find it easier for you guys to see when I draw on pen. Gotta move things out of my way. Now, okay, so if you have the same kind of problem like I was having, just rip off the edge. Okay, so I just did one circle, okay? Now that could actually be my radial line. Now I can come over here and let's see. So I have a little hole right here where I just put it, okay? So say I wanted to make a little bit bigger circle going around. I'm just going to punch a hole like so. Put my original start spot. Make sure the point comes through. Line it up in the exact hole you put it. Right there. Okay, now watch. See, that one looks a lot cleaner. All right, so that could be one whole line, or that could be 2 lines, okay? So now I'm gonna draw my square, okay? Now, for my square, I'm gonna make this square kind of come through this box, okay? So, or this circle. So let's see, how can I do that? So first of all, to make sure my square is nice and straight, okay, what I like to do is take the edge of my paper and my ruler, okay, and I line up my line at the bottom. So on my ruler, and you can actually just line it up against your paper pad, but here, okay? So I'm gonna make my line go right through here, this section, okay? So let's start the edge of that box. We'll put it right here. All right, so I got one line going through. Now, I'm gonna make my box three-dimensional. My square is gonna have kind of keep the same angle. Okay. Completed. All right. So now I'm going to come up at the top and do the same direction. Make sure that it's got the same. If this line's going this way, I want this line to do the same. Right. And then I want to make sure that this stays completely straight. So I'm just going to line it straight up here. Like I said though, if you haven't turned in the other project, get it turned in, okay? All right, so there we go. So now we have it kind of starting to get a three-dimensional shape really quickly. So here we go. I'm going to kind of go with the same flow. This time, I'm going to focus on this box. Actually, I'm going to come across. Let me go outside of it. I'm gonna go a little bit past. Now I'm just gonna bring that line back in and just make sure it connects. All right. So technically this is two squares, three-dimensional, okay, at this point. Now, I want this circle to have more dimension to it. So I'm gonna bring it in and I'm gonna say right about here, it curves off. All right, and then right about here, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna say it kind of curves around like that. Now, if I make it a circle all the way around, now it's transparent. You see that? That it goes through this box, okay? Now, how do I give the illusion that that is going through too? You could leave it like that, but if you take a Sharpie at this point and fill in all this area, okay, you're gonna lose that line, which is fine, okay? And it will give you the feeling that this is solid, but you're gonna lose that edge. So what do I recommend? Come in here and get that edge as tight as you can for your line. See how I get a little white line right there, very tiny in between? It makes it look thick, but it is just enough to give me my edge that I like. Okay, you can also do a gradient of lines going across here. Now remember, we got 1, 2, technically 3, 4, or you can do this 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And so I still need more curves, okay? I'm only at 4. All right, so you can do that continuously throughout your box. This is a very simple design that I'm just doing real quickly. All right, I'm not even really thinking about it. I'm just kind of, this would be more in the thumbnail stage. All right, I'm just kind of giving you some basics here. Now, one of the things I definitely saw, you guys had some filling in issues, okay? So I'm gonna teach you how to fill in, okay? When you are using a marker, how to get it nice and crisp. So you take a piece of paper, fold it in half, fold it again, or use an index card, okay? So like a little note card. That works really well too. That's thick, it's thicker paper. We want our paper to be nice and thick, but we want to make sure we do it on, that we're going to do this part on the edge that's been cut, okay? Not the fold, okay? Not this area, not this area, okay? Unless you really fold nicely, but I always say it's best to use the pre-cut area. So now I'm going to take my piece of paper that I've just folded, okay, so right from here to here, and I'm going to take my marker, and I want to get a nice clean straight edge, okay? So how do you do it really quickly? You just take this piece of paper, line it right up against that black line, and you go across the paper into the image, okay? I'm going to slow it down just a little bit there. All right. Any little light spots you might see, hit it now. Now, pull back the paper carefully and see how crisp that edge is. That's how you get clean edged lines, okay? Now, say you get something that's real tight right there. How do we get that? At this point, come back in with your pen and carefully fill in that one little spot, okay? And you will notice that it fills in nicely. And so I always sometimes just fill in my edges first and then come back in with my paper real quickly. So I'm gonna keep going real fast. I'm gonna keep this side very dark. So this side of the box is gonna be dark, and we'll do some lines over here real quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to speed up the camera a little bit so you don't have to sit here and wait for me to do all this. All right, so I think that looks good. Okay, now you're starting to get that illusion that I was talking about. See how that kind of goes in? Now, to make that illusion even pop out a little more, if you keep this side really crisp and white, but you take a pencil and you lightly tone just that area where it's at. See how I'm toning? And then on the inside there, okay, I get a darker pencil. So I'm gonna get my ebony color pencil. Okay, this is the one I highly recommend. All right, you come in there and you really darken that hole even a little more. You're gonna give the illusion that this is transparent and it's going in. All right, so now let's say we wanted to do a different method. Okay, you could do a stippling effect here, where you can just do a bunch of dots that are really kind of tight at the beginning. Now markers sometimes are a little too thick, these kinds of markers, so that's why we have a variety of different types of markers I tell you to get in that kit. I like the ones that have the kind of shorter. Well, that one's been beat up pretty badly. Might not have a small fine tip one. I don't have one. Okay, well here I got this one. So sometimes you can find these, okay, they're just a simple little felt tip. And you can see a difference that when you use this one, it's a little bit thinner dot and it's not so, and I can sit here and dot as much as I need it to. And so you want to kind of dot your areas where you're thinking the shadows will be. And then come back in and this method takes time to do. It's not my favorite method, but some of you students really love doing this method. And so I'm just showing you quickly how to do that. So this video doesn't take forever. All right, say you do it and you get done with it, and we got about halfway through or quarter way through on that corner there, and you're looking at it and you go, I don't like that at all. Okay, come back in and just take your ruler now. I like to flip my ruler over at this point. And look at that bottom line. Keep your line as straight as you want. It slides a little bit better if you use the ruler on the back side where the cork is facing up. Okay, so you might find yourself liking this, and then you can fill in those and making them thicker and thinner as they go out. And then even if you had a few dots in there, that even might even give you the illusion that there is something behind here, like it's like a, if you were like thinking about like as a jail cell. So I'll cover side of it to let you see it. So now I'll cover this line. So in this time you can put as many lines as you want. I just want to see 9 curves. Okay, you can decorate, design, you know, really kind of go to town. And some of your guys' thumbnails were really good, and I felt like they really had some good overall feelings about them. All right, you can play with texture, thickness. You can even put a door in here if you wanted to. You can tell me a story. Okay, so right now I could even do another set of circles. I can make a target. All right, so I want you to come up with some thumbnails. You can show me the thumbnails if you want. You can also email them to me if you have any questions. You can text them to me. And then if you need some help on your guidance of where to go, I recommend texting. That's the quickest way to get a hold of me. All right. I won't give the number on this because it goes to YouTube and I want random people calling me. So on that note, this is one thing to think about. Okay. And so really be creative. So put your square within a square, but at least one has to be 12 inches. Okay. And it could be 12 inches this way or 12 inches all the way across. So this box can be 12 inches. Okay. So does that make sense? So you can go from here to here for 12 inches or here to here to 12 inches. It's up to you. All right. Just make sure whatever is 12 inches here, it's 12 inches there. Or if it's 12 inches here, that this actually makes sense. Okay. I want this to be square, not a rectangle. All right. I don't want to see a house. Okay. All right. And you can also think about, you know, maybe that this is floating. So that could also be another round of circles. So say you had this kind of going out here. And you use you just use a graphite pencil and you give it like this shadow floating effect. I'm fine with that too. Okay, so notice that if this comes out here, this is going to go typically around and back in. All right. So on that note, if you have any questions about this assignment, don't hesitate to reach out to me. So this is our 9 curved lines and square within a square. So this square is in here, okay? You can even put another square, so that would be your door if you wanted to. Or an opening. Okay. Now it's going inward. All right. So, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay. On that, I'll be putting some examples of square within a square and some curved lines, so give you some ideas what we're talking about at the end of this video. All right. Talk to you later.